Why, hello. I didn't see you there. We return once more to the Forgotten Realms Adventures in, and we are playing a Premier Draft. Now, the previous episode in this series saw me diving into the world of aggro with a red-white equipment deck. Lo and behold, not by choice, I find myself in the exact same deck. I started drafting a few good white cards and saw some flyers, threw some blue in there, and I thought maybe this is the way, the classic blue-white flyers. But at the end of pack 1, I prospectively picked up a few pieces of equipment because I was mostly white. Some equipment went around late, and I thought, what if red is open? What if I get a Bruenor? And that is exactly what happened. I have high hopes for this deck, probably not a good idea. Quick rundown of some of the hits here. For equipment, we have Boots of Speed, a Great Axe, and 3+2 maces. For rares, we have 2. We have Eye of Vecna, a legendary artifact that will let us draw cards, and Nadar, Selfless Paladin, a 3/3 vigilance that lets us venture into the dungeon. Beyond that, we have 2 Priests of Ancient Lore, we have 2 Dragon's Fire, and we have some good filler, a couple of Minimus containments for additional removal. Let's see how things go in round 1. So even though the very previous episode that has been released saw me playing red-white aggro, it has been a hot minute since I've played this format, so we'll see how this goes. We go first. Our opening hand is 3 plains, 2 Minimus containments, a Ranger's Hawk, and a Rust Monster. I think that's going to have to be good enough. I don't want to go to 7 off of that. So we'll play a Plains and a Ranger's Hawk. This is a 1/1 flyer for 1, and that's mostly what we care about. It also has this text that says, pay 3, tap it, and another untapped creature to venture into the dungeon. Our opponent played a Spiked Pit Trap, so for 5 mana, they can do 5 damage to a creature. We don't really care. We'll attack with our Ranger's Hawk. It's 2019. The score, not the year. Opponent plays Guild Thief. This is a 1/1. When it does damage to a player, it gets a 1/1 counter. Very well. We're just going to hold back, I think, and play a Temple of the Dragon Queen. So we get a red source. We're going to hold back our Ranger's Hawk for a block on their Guild Thief. Okay, so they're playing a Trickster's Talisman and equipping it. So now it is a 2/2 Guild Thief. You know, we're actually not going to block. It may seem silly, we take a couple damage. That's fine. So what we're going to do now is Minimus Containment. The larger of the 2 Guild Thieves. They sacrifice their talisman to make one. No attacks. We're going to hold back our Hawk once again. I didn't really want to use the Minimus Containment on the last turn and give them the extra mana early on. It might come back to bite me. But of course we weren't going to be playing around an uncommon equipment. Our opponent contacts another plane, so they're scrying 2 and drawing some cards. And their deck looks fun, and unfortunately we're not applying a lot of pressure on them. Okay. So at this point, our opponent is just holding back their Guild Thief. So we are going to attack them with our Hawk. We're now tied at 18, and we will play a Rust Monster. This is a 2/1 first striker. And you can sacrifice an artifact to give it +2/+0. So our opponent uses their Spiked Pit Trap, kills our Rust Monster. So they spent a total of 6 mana to deal with our 3 mana play. We're just going to go ahead and Dragon's Fire. Should we do that now or should we wait? I suppose we just do it now. They're tapped out, no reason to walk into a problem. We hit with the Hawk. We're now tied at 17. Our opponent has a lot of cards and a lot of mana. Yeah, this is where it's going to start getting dicey. So they play Air Cult Elemental, a 2/5 flyer. They're going to bounce our Hawk back to our hand. Not the biggest deal. And then they play Secret Door, an 0/4 defender. You can pay 5 to venture into the dungeon. It will make me sad when we do lose to this deck, because they're playing a lot of cards I would consider to be not especially good. So we're going to play the Hawk again, play another Minimus Containment on their Air Cult Elemental, and pass the turn. Boy, we need a good draw. Most of our equipment would be good here. They play Swarming Goblins, so they get a 4/3 Goblin, and they roll the dice. They get 2 more 1/1 Goblins. Yeah, they have a bigger board presence than us, and 2 additional cards in hand compared to us. It's not a good formula for success or victory. Then they play Treasure Chest. Great card. Basically, it's a treasure chest that lets you sacrifice it and roll the dice, and you get a random effect, most of which are good. It's only if you roll a natural one that it's bad, but we all know how the random number generator works in this game. Okay, so we have drawn Nadar Selfless Paladin, which is good. Go ahead and attack with our Hawk, because why not? And then we're going to play Nadar Selfless Paladin. We venture into the dungeon, of course going to the Lost Mine of Phandelver. You know, I've heard tale from the pros that it is virtually almost always correct to go to the Lost Mine. Even if you think you're a turbo venturing deck, it's better to go for the Lost Mine. You get your reward faster. Okay, our opponent is playing Genie Windseer. So they've got a bunch of 3 toughness, 3+ power creatures that are going to make life difficult for us. Alright, they're attacking with their Swarming Goblin and their 2 little goblins. It's our turn. We're going to end by hitting their Windseer with Dragonfire. This now allows us to attack with Nadar and the Ranger's Hawk. We will make a Goblin token when we venture further into the dungeon. I don't want to say we're stabilizing here, because I don't know that that's really true. But things do look better than they did a bit ago. Our opponent has another Swarming Goblins. Oof. And they drew their last card is a Wizard class. That is a great finishing card for them. Okay, we're going to block another little goblin with a Nadar, block the big goblin with our little goblin. This is all so confusing. So many goblins running around. Now, we drew a Priest of Ancient Lore, so we're going to play that. 2/1, it gains us a life, and we draw a card. The card we drew is Arborea Pegasus, so we're going to go ahead and play that as well. Give Nadar +1 and Vigilance. Go and attack with our Ranger's Hawk and Nadar. We're going to the storeroom as we venture, putting a +1/+1 counter on our Pegasus. It's now 13-10. We are holding a mountain in our hand, so hopefully our opponent shits their pants, wondering what could be in our hand. They played a Bag of Holding. Again, our opponent has a lot of extremely medium cards, and I would certainly count that Bag of Holding among them. They're using their whole turn to venture into the dungeon, and Mad Lad, or Lass, or NB Friend, they're going to the dungeon, the Mad Mage, the big, long dungeon. Now they are attacking us with everything here. Going to eat a goblin. And do we want to block anything else? Or just let 8 damage through? We're just going to do 1. That's risky, because now it's 5 to 11. We're going to attack our opponent for 6 with Nadar. Actually, let's go ahead and make it 8. We'll attack with our Priest of Ancient Lore as well. With that, we successfully complete the Lost Mine and draw a card. Very good. So our opponent is at 4. We will play our Plundering Barbarian. Destroy their treasure chest, which they were foolish enough to never use. Play a land. Put a stop on their end step so we can venture once again with our Ranger's Hawk, if needed. End the turn. Our opponent is leveling up Wizard class to draw some extra cards. They are looking for a way out of this jam. They still have a use of Bag of Holding if they want to dig a little deeper. They have Boots of Speed, which they play. It is now 5 to 4, by the way. They are activating the Bag of Holding, still digging for an answer, but they are mostly tapped out at this point. They concede. That was a case where I don't know that our deck was so good, as they had a lot of below average cards in their deck, but we will definitely take it. Alright, a fine start. Let's try to keep it up in game 2. I'll see you there after the break.
Welcome to Eberron.
A land we fought so desperately for, now a land torn and scarred by war.
Where our paths can never leave us, but we forge a new path.
Where opportunities are everywhere, for those with the guile to take them.
Where we find a new family while hunting down monsters.
This is the Morning Blues, a D&D 5e actual play game released every other Thursday on Beholder to No One. Join our DM Adam as he runs Virik, Jody, Rem and Mika through their bounties and exploration.
Game 2. Our opponent goes first this time. This time we have 4 lands, an Armory Veteran, a 2-drop creature, a Dragon's Fire, good removal, and a +2 mace. Again, this is not an insane hand, but not bad enough to throw away, I don't think. Opponent starts with the Plains. Why not meet him halfway and also play a Plains? But they go Swamp and play an Ingenious Smith. Very interesting. So this is a card I have not seen played a lot, and for good reason. It's a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 of your library, and you get an artifact from among them. And this creature also gets a 1/1 counter whenever you play an artifact. They did not find an artifact, for which we are grateful. We're going to play an Armory Veteran, which is a 2/2 creature. If it's equipped, it has Menace. Our opponent does indeed play an artifact, a Delver's Torch, so now they have a 2/2 Ingenious Smith. That, to me, feels like it's getting to the point where I want to react to it. I think we're going to just pass and hope that they go to equip it or something, at which point we can Dragon's Fire it, try to waste their time. They do go to equip it. We're going to Dragon's Fire it. So they spent their whole turn doing nothing. They're attacking us with a Shambling Ghast. We're just going to take it. It's a 1/1 creature, but if we do block it, they can use its death ability to finish off our Armory Veteran. We don't want that. Instead, what we want to do, we're going to attack with our Veteran. So it's 19 to 18. We'll play a Steadfast Paladin, a 2/2 lifelinker, and a +2 mace. That was a good use of our mana that turn. And then next turn we kind of have our choice. Do we want to equip up one of our creatures or play a Pegasus? I'm leaning towards Pegasus. It's a better use of our mana. And we can always equip later. We want to commit creatures to the board. Okay. Our opponent played Precipitous Drop to give -2/-2 to our veteran, so it's dead. And they venture into the Lost Mine of Phandelver. All of this is fine. We draw another +2 mace. I'm not upset about that. For as long as we have a creature, we're going to be in business here. So we're going to go for our Pegasus. Give our Paladin +1 in flying. And crunch them. So now it's 22 to 15. Thank you, lifelink. Always feels good, doesn't it? To hit with a big lifelinker. Okay, so our opponent is definitely on a venture strategy. They play Barrowin of Clan Undur. 3/3 comes into play in ventures, and it gives you a big payoff. If you can complete a dungeon, when it attacks, you get a creature card that costs 3 or less back to the battlefield from your graveyard. Quite saucy. Well, I think what we want to do, we're going to play, and we're just going to keep playing Pegasi, I think. So we're going to play our second Pegasus, give our Steadfast Paladin 1/1 in flying again, and attack them for 5 in the air. It's now 25 to 10. Our opponent was a bit stuck on lands for a moment, but they are coming out of that now. They rattled off 2 in a row. We have a very funny hand. So right now we have our Paladin and 2 Pegasi and a +2 mace in play, and our hand is 2 more +2 maces. That's all of them in the deck. It's very funny. So our opponent goes to attack us with their Shambling Ghast. We could block and kill it with our Pegasus. Our Pegasus would die. I just don't think we care. Because the problem is the Delver's Torch. Or do we block it? I see. We don't really have a choice. Or do we? Never mind. So they gave -2/-0 to our Pegasus, but it can still block happily enough. They didn't have a combat trick. Do they have some way to finish the Pegasus? Alright, so they play a Cloister Gargoyle, which completes the dungeon. They draw a card, and they now have a 3/4 flyer. So that's pretty good. So what we're going to do, we're going to equip a mace to our Steadfast Paladin. Sure. And then go to combat. Attack with both our Paladin and our 1 Pegasus that can attack. Oh, that was foolish. Already forgetting that the Cloister Gargoyle exists. Oh well. Put out another mace. So our opponent this turn, they have their Barrowin of Clan Undur, which they could attack us with and get back their Ingenious Smith. I'm honestly not really worried about that. That is what they're going to do. We're going to allow ourselves to be hit. It is now 26 to 6. Just have to push a little bit more damage through. Okay. We're going to put another mace on our Steadfast Paladin. The worrying thing here is our opponent has 5 mana and 4 cards in hand. This isn't a time to be a coward, though. Our opponent plays Paladin Shield, which is going to give +0/+2 to the Cloister Gargoyle and puts a 1/1 counter on Ingenious Smith. I mean, none of this matters. They're going to need something else to make this work. Okay, I see. So they're double blocking with the Gargoyle and the Shambling Ghast. I don't think that worked the way they wanted. Their Ghast didn't die, so our Paladin stays alive. We gain 6 life, their Gargoyle dies. It's now 32-6. I really don't think that's what they wanted to have happen. We're going to play an Armory Veteran. Can't blame them. Literally made a horrible play in this very game where I just threw an Arborea Pegasus into the toilet. Literally. I mean, opponent has 3 cards in hand. And... okay, so they're going to get their... they're attacking with the Barrowin. They're going to get their Gargoyle back. I mean, I suppose this is a way for them to just continually chain adventures. Okay, we have to decide if we want to kill this Barrowin. I think yes. Or no. No, we're not going to do that. No blocks. Our win condition is some big attack with our Pegasus and our Armory Veteran, I think. Ooh. This is brutal, though. So we just drew Bruenor. Obviously, we're playing it. To remind you, Bruenor Battlehammer is a 5/3 Dwarf Warrior. Each creature we control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it, and I can pay 0 rather than pay for the first equip ability I activate each turn. Very strong, very strong. So we're going to move a mace onto our Armory Veteran, which means it has to be double blocked if they want to stop it, which they're going to have to. I think this is GG again. They could have something. We're going to attack with everything and see what we get. We also have a gigantic life cushion. It's 29-7. If something goes wrong, there are still ways for us to cobble together victory. Hopefully. So our opponent double blocked the Veteran with Ingenious Smith and Shambling Ghast, which means they're going to lose both those creatures. Oh. They did play Rally Maneuver, so we are losing our lifelinker, I believe. That was a good Rally Maneuver. Whew. And they finished our turn with a mythic. Ebon Death Dracolich. 5/2 flash flying, comes into play tapped. You may cast it from your graveyard if another creature died this turn. Well, that is, I don't need to tell you, a gigantic problem for us. So apparently that's what their mana was being reserved for. Being attacked once again by Barrowin. They kept the card on top that they just scryed. After their venture, they get back their Shambling Ghast. No blocks, please. I feel there are definitely things that get us out of this bind. Their Barrowin has really developed into a big problem. It's equipped up, it's a 4/6. We need a Minimus containment, ideally, to try to stop this thing. So we equipped our +2 mace to our Pegasus. We put out a Hulking Bugbear. Attack with our 6/5 Pegasus. They're going to have to block it. We have a Bugbear as well, which we could attack with, which I think we're going to do as well. So they're killing our Pegasus with their Ebon Death. And they blocked our Bugbear with their Cloister Gargoyle. We play out our last card, yet another +2 mace. Oh, I think this spells our doom. Our opponent plays a Spiked Pit Trap, which will kill our last remaining creature. Our Bruenor. Beautiful Bruenor. At this point, even though it's 25 to 5, well, soon to be less. I don't think we have much that could save us at this point. What do we have that could get through all these creatures? Do we have any more evasive creatures? And the reality is, even if we had evasive creatures, they're getting back their Gargoyle and their Ebb and Death every turn. We drew a Priest of Forgotten, or of Ancient Lore rather. So we draw a card. We drew another one. Drew a Plains, which we'll play, because we have a lot of equip costs. We'll see what I draw next turn. If I don't draw something relevant, I'm going to concede. I mean, from what I remember in general, we just don't have anything relevant. What we need to get out of this are 2 flyers. And truth be told, I think we've played both our flyers. We have a Ranger's Hawk. It's the only thing we have left. They hit us. It's 18 to 5. Like I said, just going to see what this next draw step brings. We drew a Minimus Containment. About 10 years too late. So now what would we need to win? We could Minimus Containment the Cloister Gargoyle. Next turn, draw a Ranger's Hawk. I mean, I guess not technically dead. The funny thing is, too, we can't even chump block them, because that just lets them recast Ebb and Death. Okay, they used Minimus Containment on our Minimus Containment. Interesting. Okay. Well, that officially brings it into the game. Wow. That was a long battle that I did not think we were going to lose. But a fully unlocked Barrowin that we could not stop proved to be too difficult. Alright, 1-1. On to Game 3. Game 3. We're keeping this hand. 3 lands, Boots of Speed, a +2 mace, an Arborea Pegasus, and an Eye of Vecna to help us draw some cards. Let's start with some Boots of Speed. This might make our draw a little awkward, this tapped land. Yeah, especially when we draw a second Arborea Pegasus. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and... we have nothing to do on turn 3, really. Let's play a Plains and play our Eye of Vecna. So the Eye of Vecna draws us a card, we lose 2 life, and then at the beginning of each turn, we have the option to pay 2 for the same deal. Oh. Our opponent used Devour Intellect on us. It's so bad. We're going to ditch our +2 mace. You know, we really don't have anything to do with our mana this turn. So let's go ahead and use the Eye of Vecna. So it's now 16 to 20, but we've drawn some extra cards. Next turn, we can start getting funky with our Pegasi. Opponent plays Vampire Spawn. Drains us for 2, so now it's 14 to 22. Okay. Play our Pegasus. Now the question is, what do we do if our opponent attacks with their 2-3 into our 2-3? Probably block. No. They make that easy for us, and they use Grim Bounty to kill our Pegasus. So they attack. It's now 12 to 22. So now we will play our Arborea Pegasus. Give it +1, +1 in flying. Put some Boots of Speed on it. Why not? Now, do we feel confident about attacking? Because next turn we can play and equip it with the mace. Start getting real funky. Sure, let's get in there. We're red-white. This isn't a coward's draft. This isn't a typical blue mage draft. Look at that art of Arborea Pegasus. That's me clinging onto its mane. Ooh, opponent is on the all removal plan. They used power word kill. You know what all removal is good against? A low creature count hand. Maybe that's a fundamental problem with this deck. Maybe we need some more creatures. It's now 10 to 18. We did not draw a creature. It's definitely getting to the point where we're going to have to use the Eye of Vecna just to look at cards, but meanwhile, our opponent's going to hit us for at least 4 this turn, put us to 6. And then we're going to pay 2 life. And look, it's our old friend, Barrowin of Clan Undur, venturing into the dungeon. And at least we have a minimus containment for that. Very bold of our opponents, their first venture into the dungeon. And they go for the big boy, the dungeon of the Mad Mage. We drew nothing, which means we can kill their Barrowin and then we die on their turn. Okay, I think I'm going to do a quick back to the drawing board and up our creature count a bit. See you in the next game. 1 and 2, facing elimination. More creatures, but we only have 1 in hand. Again, though, can't really say no to this. We have a Dragon's Fire and Minimus Containment for removal, a Plundering Barbarian, a good early play, and a Great Axe. I don't really know that this hand, or this deck rather, is capable of a really amazing hand. I'm sorry to say. Our opponent played Dungeon Crawler, a 2/1 for 1. And they play a Secret Door. What is with these secret doors? Okay, we're going to pass to them. We have a Dragon's Fire. I'm not sure if I want to use it on this Dungeon Crawler, but I probably will. Reveal. Okay, so they're checking for traps. And they're going to try to get rid of my Dragon's Fire? No. Sorry about that. Don't know what I would take if I were them. I guess I would take the Barbarian. It's my next play. Oh, they take Minimus Containment. Maybe that indicates they have something very juicy in hand. At any rate, we're going to Plundering Barbarian. Do we want to destroy... Yeah. I guess we will destroy their Secret Door. I can't resist the value. I was going to call it a 2 for 1, but it's really more of a 1.5 for 1, because Secret Door is barely a card. I say as I get clobbered by it on repeat. Ooh, opponent stuck on 2 lands. This is a strong way for us to sneak in a victory. I'm going to play Arborea Pegasus. Our Barbarian, he can fly. He can smash for 3. It's now 18 to 16. Okay, our opponent did find a land. They need something pretty juicy right now, because they're looking down the barrel of what's going to be a Pegasus with a Great Axe, which is terrifying. They play Soul Knife Spy, a 3/2. When it deals combat damage to a player, they draw a card. That could help them. Well, we're going to equip our Pegasus as promised. And do we just attack with both? Just put the pressure on them? I say yes. If they want to trade their Soul Knife Spy for our Barbarian, they do. I'm really okay with that. Oh, they changed their mind potentially? Yep, they did. Now they're at 8. And now they don't know it, but unless they kill our Pegasus or find some way to stop it on the next turn, okay. I was going to say we can equip our mace and get in for lethal damage. They did play a Silver Raven, though, so they have a 1/1 flying blocker. Again, opponents playing some very medium cards here. We're one to talk, I suppose, but... Well, let's do this then. Let us play our +2 mace. Let's equip our Plundering Barbarian. So now you have a 6/3 flyer and a 4/4. Attack with them both. Okay. Our opponent used Mordenkainen's Polymorph. Again, I have to say, a very bad card. And they used that to turn their Silver Raven into a 4/4. I mean, it's a 2-for-1 against themselves, so... Please, dear God, if you're listening, don't let us lose to this deck. Okay, so our opponent played Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Okay, and they conceded. Whew. So Tasha's Hideous Laughter, you mill cards from your opponent's deck, it's a rare, until they mill a total costing 20 or more. It's a very bad card, because there's no other mill support in the game. We prayed and God listened. Now it's time for us to brazenly take credit for ourselves and then be banished to roam the seas until we can repent. We're 2-2, still fighting for our lives. Let's go. I always get myself into these jams. 2 quick losses and every game becomes very intense. My lord, we're fighting against Joaquin himself? Well, I wanted more creatures and I got them. I've got a Arborea Pegasus, Rust Monster, and an Earth Cult Elemental, as well as a Dragonfire. Seems fine. We drew a Great Axe. I'm just gonna... I don't really want to play it on turn 1. There'll be some turn in the future where I can sneak it in. I'm more interested in having Dragon's Fire available. Our opponent is playing blue so far, and they played a Hall of Storm Giants. This is the land that you can pay 6 to turn into a 7/7 with Ward 3 until end of turn. Wild. Our opponent plays Silver Raven and a Swamp. So another blue-black brew. We could fire their Silver Raven. I just don't care enough. And I'd rather Rust Monster. A 2/1 First Striker. So they can have their 1/1 flyer, and we can embarrass them with our 2/1 First Striker. They play Shortcut Seeker. So this is a 2/5. When it does damage to us, they venture into the dungeon. Got it. Well, we're going to play a land. Minimus Containment, the Seeker. Play a Great Axe. And attack. It's now 19-18. Minimus Containment is good. It turns the creature, or whatever it is, into a treasure, but it's always a little scary. You're potentially ramping your opponent, and they do indeed sacrifice it for a mana. They played Precipitous Drop to kill our Rust Monster. So they're going to venture. They still have 3 mana. I'm curious if they... presumably they'll be able to spend all this mana that they have. Otherwise there's no real purpose to sacrificing their treasure. Play Fate's Reversal. Return up to 1 creature card from your graveyard to your hand and venture, so they get back the Shortcut Seeker. I don't think they had to... Okay, so they spent the treasure to get it back. Understood. Okay. Well, we'll just play a Pegasus this turn. So now they have a Silver Raven, a 1/1 Goblin from Venturing into the Mines. We have a 2/3 Pegasus and a Great Axe waiting in the wings. Okay, so now they have their Shortcut Seeker back. Well, what do we do now? I think we attack with the Pegasus. They take it. It's now 18-16. And then I think we just play another Pegasus. See, that was a misplay again, missequencing. I lost out on a point of damage there. Should have decided what to do beforehand. That was a case of a heuristic biting me in the ass. So normally it's a good idea to hold your spells till after combat so your opponent doesn't know what you're doing. In that case, waiting cost me a point of damage, though. Our opponent on their turn killed my untapped Pegasus with a Grim Bounty, and they attacked me with everything. It's now 14-16, and they get to venture again. So they're putting a +1/+1 counter on their Silver Raven. Got it. We drew a Steadfast Paladin. This hand is not developing very well. We're going to go ahead and attack with our Pegasus. Play our 2/2 Lifelinker, the Steadfast Paladin. Our opponent is thinking. They use Contact Other Plane to draw some cards. We will also play our Armory Veteran. It's 14-14. Ooh, the shoe is on the other foot as our opponent plays Mordenkainen. I'm going to presume that that's game. Well, I mean, I guess it's not just strictly over, because funnily enough, Dragon's Fire can do damage to a Planeswalker. We have to try that. It's the first time I've seen a Mordenkainen die. We'll attack with our Pegasus. Here's the issue, though. Our opponent did manage to get a dog token, which has power toughness equal to twice the number of cards in your hand, and they still have the Hall of the Storm Giants, which they are activating. I mean, I'm trying to imagine what gets us out of this. Some blocking, I suppose. So we'll only take 2 there, but we lose 2 creatures. It's 14-12. This is frustrating, because if we equipped our Pegasus, it would be a 6/3 flyer, and we could put them on a 2-turn clock. However, we would then be open to them attacking with all of their creatures and dying, so we can't do that. What we can do is put a Plundering Barbarian into play, destroy their Silver Raven, hit them down to 10, and see what they do. I mean, presumably they're going to just keep activating their Hall of the Storm Giants and smash me to pieces with it. That's what I would do. Just saying. They're not. We're not going to block, I don't think. They're hitting us for 6. I mean, it's not good. Don't get me wrong. But they have a 7/7 that eventually will need to be blocked. That dog, still getting at me. They drew a card off a completed dungeon. The dog is now a 6/6. They keep playing cards, and I'm not sure why. Just let your dog become absolutely monstrous and attack me with everything. Oof. Alright, so we drew a Priest of Ancient Lore. I guess we play it. Gain a life, draw a card. It's now 9-10. Play a mountain. We can finally play our hulking Bugbear. I think instead we're just going to attack with our Pegasus again. Get our Bugbear into play. We've got a fair amount of blockers now. If our opponent tools around a bit too long, we could win, but it really depends on them misplaying and misjudging us. Okay, they're attacking with Shortcut Seeker, Soul Knife Spy, and the Dog Illusion. So we'll block the Soul Knife Spy, and we'll block the Shortcut Seeker. And we're going to take 6 from the Dog. It's now 3-8. They play Pixie Guide. So 1/3 flyer, if you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many +1 and ignore the lowest result. The string of bad cards our opponents are playing continues, this time with a Power of Persuasion. Well, in this case, we're just dead. But let's have a go of it. Play Earth Cult Elemental. Our opponent sacrifices a permanent. Ugh. The Pixie Guide, as bad as it is a 1/3 flyer, so our Pegasus cannot get through. Okay, so our opponent taps our creature, animates Hall of Storm Giants, and clobbers us to death. GG. WP. Well, a disappointing run to be sure, with the old salty Bruenor Runback. Drew Bruenor the one time, I believe. It's unfortunate. I believe this will be the last venture into the dungeon for me in Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. Overall thoughts, before I wrap up here, I definitely had a much weaker grasp of this format than I did either Strixhaven or Kaldheim. I felt like I never really got a good bead on what I should be doing, even as I tried to adjust here towards the end and go more aggressive, focus on earlier plays. It just felt like I never quite got a grip on the format. And it doesn't help either that it just doesn't fit my playstyle. But you know what? I think truly that's kind of a BS excuse. It doesn't fit your playstyle. It's not like playing aggro. It does require skill, but I mean, so what? Aggro is the preferred playstyle. You should learn it then. It's part of the game. Well, we'll see what adventures await us in the next set, Innistrad Midnight Hunt. I'll see you there. Good day.